We just got back from Blade Show West in Salt Lake City, and I got one of the coolest things I've ever gotten at a Blade Show, and I want to show you, but I also want to talk about some of the other stuff we got at the show. So with that said, let's do the damn thing. So this was one of the first things we got handed. We walked in, we saw our good buddy Brandon from Everyday Minimalist, and he has a collaborative pouch with RZE. It's somewhat similar to the pouches that come with RZE watches, but he's made some changes, and I like that. You've got little gear slots here with a mesh pocket, and then more like a standard vertical pouch here, as well as a zipper pocket on the back, and hook and loop. We're gonna link to it. There's probably more information there, but RZE pouch drops September 27th.
27th, sorry.
I was about to say that's already happened. That's in the past. October 27th on this pouch. Next up we have some bags. Very similar to bum bag territory here, especially with this one. These come from Paladin 33 and they are very sweet. We'll come to this one next. This is the Astro Belt Bag, made in America and very, very nice quality. So you have a front zipper pocket on the front, small little hook and loop there. The inside is where this differs a lot from a bum bag because it has two big pockets and no hook and loop on the inside. But it's very spacious. That's something I think it has over the bum bag is that wide bottom. And then you also have a pocket back here, which would hold a cell phone really well. And then some webbing on the bottom. Very, very nice. And then this has a very heavy duty Cobra buckle on the strap. That's actually probably the only complaint. I don't know if it's a complaint because it feels weird to complain about a Cobra buckle, but without this Cobra buckle, this whole thing is very, very lightweight. This thing is heavier than everything else combined, so it feels a little like unbalanced, but it's very nice, and I like the Astro, like the NASA styling. It's really cool. And then this thing, this is expensive, don't get me wrong, fully aware of that, but this is a very cool bag. So this fabric on the outside, a little crinkly, it's Dyneema. So Dyneema is extremely strong. So I use it for hammock straps when I'm backpacking. Dyneema cord looks like, well, the Dyneema cord used for whoopee slings looks like shoestring. It's very, very thin. It's terrifying. Ricky can attest, like laying in the first time because you're not trustworthy. Like it's hard to trust a very small string like that. But it has a tensile strength of like 1,500 pounds at just shoe string size. But this bag, very neat. It's even bigger than the Bum Bag XL. But this one has hook and loop on the inside as well as these little loops here. I'm not 100% sure what those are for. You have gear pockets in the front, and then there's also a back pocket with Velcro and some padding here. This bag, 200 bucks. It's a lot. But the entire bag, as big as it is, weighs 11 ounces or 10 ounces. Very, very lightweight, very cool. For now, this one is going to replace the Bum Bag XL and the Techo pouch from Vanquist. This is the bag I'm using at the moment because it's so sweet. So check out Paladin if you have not heard of them before, doing really cool things. And there are some more budget-friendly options as well, all made in America. Very cool stuff. Before we get into knives, I want to take a moment to thank our channel sponsors. They make all of this possible, so please go give them some love. First, we have Big Idea Design. They were at the show. They slayed it. They have some really cool stuff. They had some special fixed blades, as well as their new pocket knife, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But go check them out. They make amazing pens and tools. They've got some stuff on Kickstarter. They've got a lot going on. You can get 10% off on their website if you use my coupon code CARRYON. I love Big Eye. You guys know all about them. Go give them some love. And also, want to thank worksharp. They make amazing knife sharpeners. There are still some boxes out there from the worksharp quest. Our friend Zach, we finally got to catch up with him at Blade Show. He's been on the road for 6 months, hiding boxes everywhere. There are still some boxes out there that have not been found. So go check out worksharp in the wild, but also go check out their sharpeners because they do amazing work there. I mean, obviously, they're really good sharpeners. They have the folding field sharpener, which is their newest, my personal favorite, the guided field sharpener, and then my personal choice for sharpening my knives when I need to really sit down and sharpen some knives, the Ken Onion Mark II. It is a really sweet belt sharpener. Go check them out. And finally, I want to thank our sponsor, Whatnot. We've been going live on Whatnot. It's a really fun time. You can go there and check out all sorts of stuff. People are selling playing cards and bags and vintage goods, all sorts of stuff is for sale, but we have been selling part of my knife collection and some other stuff over on Whatnot. It's a live auction platform. We will be going live next Friday at 7 p.m. That is the 18th of October. Go check it out. There's a QR code. We'll put it right here. If you scan that QR code, you can get $15 towards your first purchase. I'll see you guys on the 18th at 7 p.m. on Whatnot. All right, back to the knives. I only picked up these two right here because I wanted to do some stuff. I got them for future videos or for personal preference. We're probably going to do another utility knife roundup video. It's been a long time, and this is a contender for probably one of the best values out there, other than like Milwaukee. But this is the Elementum Utility. So it looks very much like a button lock Elementum, but it holds a utility blade. So these are out now. They were not out at the last blade show, which is why I didn't get one then. But yeah, picked one up at this show just so I can check it out and then, you know, use it when we're compiling our list. And then the Cindy, we've talked about it before. I really like the Cindy, also designed by our good friend Ben. And I have one in my cart, but I wanted a wood-handled one. If you're not familiar with the Cindy, this is the cool little knife that used to be called, or originally was going to be called the Cedar, but it has a toothpick and a pair of tweezers in the handle, much like the Sancho pin, which is on Kickstarter right now. So this is a very cool little utility knife, or we're going to call it sort of modern traditional, but it has more, I would say, modern than traditional. But very cool little EDC knife. And then this was like the highlight, the feature from Civivi at this show. This is the Yonder from our good friend, Zach in the Wild. This was debuted at Blade Show Atlanta. It won some awards, and then it now is almost out. I think they're coming out this coming week, or this week, next week. I'm not 100% sure on the date, but they were being sold for the first time at Blade Show West. This is Zach's first design, and it is 14C28N. You have the first crossbar lock from Civivi, and it's got some like banter elements to it. Ricky did a video, like a reel, that you can go check out for a little more information on the Yonder that talks about the name, the origin of the name, and some of the backstory on it. But Ben helped Zach design this because Zach just could not come up with a design, and they sat down. I think they went out to like a cabin, and they were like, "You're going to do this, sketch it out, figure it out." And he came out of the cabin that weekend or whenever they left the cabin with a design, and that design is the Yonder. It's a cool little utility knife, like quintessential Zach. This is to the point, no frills, just get it done. I like it because I've become a pretty big fan of like reverse tanto blade shapes, but this one is reverse tanto with a nice big belly, and that makes it a very like utility style blade that you can, you know, get a lot done with in a small package, and it is very, very Zach. So the Yonder is out soon, but we'll still link it below. And finally, still kind of in that same realm of no frills utility blade, we have the Baby Banter Fixed Blade from Ben. So we're giving some friends some love here, obviously. Baby Banter is a very popular knife. He turned it into a fixed blade. I don't know what else to say about it. He did add some jimping up here, which makes a lot of sense. I like it. It also comes with a chain if you want to neck knife it. So that's an option. But Ricky got one. It's in black and blue. Then the other option is this micarta with a red lanyard. Very small. It's the same size as the Baby Banter. They just took the pivot out and made it full tang. So there you go. That's all the stuff from Civivi that we got-ish. We'll be back. And I think the way that we can kind of make sense through this is we're just going to work our way up in price, because there's some fancy stuff in here too. But next up, this one is another Buckhorn. So we got a Buckhorn at the last Blade show, and it was a titanium frame lock. This is Karbon Knives, which is, if you're not familiar with Karbon Knives, that is Ken Onion, his own brand. And this is made by Ketuo, which is also Reich. This one is an updated version. And what I mean by that is they changed the clip a little bit. They made it easier to get in and out of the pocket. There's a little more clearance here. And they've also made it more budget friendly. There was another change that I saw them talking about on Instagram, but I cannot remember what that change is, meaning from like the original Buckhorn to the newer versions. And all of the changes that they made have become present in or are present in the more affordable version. This one is not a frame lock. As you can see here, it's not cut out. It's a liner lock. It's also aluminum, so it's DLC aluminum, and it's 14C28 in blade steel instead of S35, I believe was on the first one. And they've obviously changed the color here to a black and gold colorway, which is very, very nice. The other one, so there's another aluminum one. It looks almost identical to the original. That's pretty much it. It's all the same stuff. They've just kind of made it a little more affordable. I think they're around 165 for this one and 160 for the non-coated one. The only thing I note or can note about them difference-wise is the lock bar access is a little bit more difficult on this than the frame lock. So, but that's it. And it's a little bit thicker because it is a liner lock. The aluminum is a little bit thicker than the titanium version, which I honestly don't think is a bad thing. It actually fits in the hand, I'd say, a little bit better than the thinner titanium one. The thinner one, thickness-wise, felt a lot like a Herman knife, which they're notoriously thin, even in the handle. But yeah, I think all good things here, and it became more affordable. So if you liked the Buckhorn and wanted something a little bit more budget-friendly, almost half the price, there you go. I'm sure some people will have something to say about 14C28N in a knife that's 160 bucks. But I think this is a very sick knife, and there's a lot going on here finish-wise that you don't see in a lot of other knives with that same blade steel. So it's not always about the blade steel. We're talking mill patterns and a lot of design work going on, but still very, very cool. I like the Buckhorn, and I'm glad to see that they made a more affordable version. So this is called the Blue Label from Chaves, and you get all the same stuff, right? You get a knife and the spare clip. This one actually comes with the non-skull clip pre-installed, and the skull clip comes in the box. But this is the Blue Label Redencion Street from Chaves Knives. So you're getting a liner lock version with scales. You will be able to swap these scales out. They will sell different scales, I think is what they said. They're all the same stuff that you get in like the original, non-Blue Label, just the regular Redencion. All the same stuff here, except for your blade steel is LMAX, which I've actually seen some in LMAX, I think, before. Or maybe they're all M390. I can't remember. There's a lot of different Chaves knives out there now, but they've got a bunch of different finishes and colorways. There's a 229, other than the Street. They also have the TAC. I think it's a Chub Slide and the Chub OTF or whatever. Anyway, Blue Label is just gonna have all of the Chaves knives available, and this configuration is $165. The 229 is like $180. The Chub is $100, so all of it is just much more affordable. And one of the changes there is LMAX steel and liner lock instead of frame lock. And I quite like this. I like the size. I like everything about it. This Chaves jumped out at me when we were talking to them. Ricky liked the belt satin finish with same micarta, but it was all satin hardware. But yeah, really cool to see this knife, which has really mainly only ever been in like the $300 range, $300, $350, $400, now available in sub $200 price ranges, which is very nice. So they're going to continue rolling out different versions of Chaves's and configurations, and they were talking about maybe, if possible, if the licensing can come through, maybe a kick stop in the Blue Label. But that's going to be, down the line, maybe not possible, I don't know. Not a ton of information on future stuff, but there's some cool stuff that we can say is coming. We can't tell you what it is from Chaves. They're doing some really cool stuff. So yeah, Chaves Redencion Blue Label, 165 bucks. So if you've been waiting on a Chaves that is a little more affordable, these are coming out in the next month or so. Price-wise on this, I can't remember exactly, but I have talked about this specifically in the newsletter, and I just want to take a moment to talk about that. You guys may not know this, but I started a newsletter. It is called the EDC Weekly. You can get to it by going to bdedc.com. And effectively what we're doing with the newsletter is we are aggregating all of the drops and events and everything that's happening in this entire community into one place every single week. It comes out on Fridays. It doesn't cost anything to sign up. I'm just putting everything we can find every single week into one email. And there's also a web component, so if you want to just go to the website, you can read it there. But all the upcoming drops for that week, all of the upcoming events in one place. So I need your help. Spread the word, share it with somebody you think might find it useful, but also let all these other brands and makers know that they can submit so we can find the drops. Social media has become so kind of useless, right? The follow button doesn't work the way you want it to. You follow a brand so you can get information or follow what they're doing, get updates, and then you don't ever see them in your feed. You see, dad jokes and stupid weightlifting stuff like Ricky and I send back and forth, and then we don't actually see the stuff we want to see. So to combat that, we have an email list that we have built so that we can control what we see. And internally, we are calling this newsletter, Fuck the Algorithm. Externally, it's the EDC Weekly. But if you want to say fuck the algorithm with us, go to bdedc.com and sign up. All right, back to what we got at Blade Show. We talked about this in the email. This is the TI Pocket Knife 2 from Big Idea Design. About 2 years ago-ish, they came out with their first knife design, the TI Pocket Knife, which we have here. It's somewhere around here. We showed it on the channel. It was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite knife ever, but this thing is sweet. They've made a lot of changes. The price on this, so right now the Kickstarter's still running. It's $250 while Kickstarter. After the Kickstarter, I think it goes up to right around 300 bucks, somewhere in that price range. But they've updated a lot here. The action on this thing is kind of terrifying. It's a guillotine, and it was this straight out of the box. Every single one I handled was exactly the same. They've upgraded the blade. It's a little bit bigger. It's now 3 1/4 or right around 3 1/4 inches. Thumb stud instead of a thumb hole. It's easier to open, especially if you prefer that hole, because the hole in the other one was not easy to use, and you really just had to use the flipper tab. But it has that inline flipper, much like you see on like a Vero knife. So when you flip it open, it disappears. It's just a little bit bigger in all dimensions. I think it's about actually the same width, but the handle's longer, blade's longer. All positive upgrades here that I like. Design-wise and in performance, I mean, this thing is just butter smooth. So if you were interested in the TI Pocket Knife, we have a link down below that'll take you to the Kickstarter, and you can check one out, maybe buy one for yourself. And those are supposed to arrive before Christmas. So early December, I believe. Somewhere before Christmas is what they said. They hope. All right, we're getting a little bit fancy here. This is one of the show specials that ProTech brought. If you look here, this is the 2024 Integrity Custom 002. This is the TR3 Integrity with the Relic mill pattern. This handle is a 17.4 stonewash steel handle. It's hardened. The handle is hardened. We have S35 VN for the blade steel pearl button, double thumb stud, wide deep carry clip. So this is a manual ProTech TR3, which I really like. I got my hands on it at Blade, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to have one of these. Originally, I was gonna get the Relic dark washed aluminum one, but then I saw this one. I like the color and the finish on the dark wash, but this one is steel, and it's heavy. I would say this thing is probably 5 or 6 ounces. It's heavy, and it has pocket milling. If you look inside the handles here, there is aggressive pocket milling. It's still very heavy. And then listen, it sounds so good. The mic is probably not gonna pick that up as well as it sounds.
Oh, maybe if you shut up.
Well, I wanna talk through it, okay? It's sick. One thing that was told to me by Matt from ProTech is that they harden these first, and then they go back and mill the pattern into it so it doesn't warp, right? That's a problem when you're hardening. He said because it's hardened before that I think he said 2 scales. It could have been 2 knives, but I think it was every 2 scales, so 1 knife. I think then they scrap the tool on the mill because it's ruined. That's kind of baller. I mean, I think they made these just as like a middle finger, right? They're just like, we can, so we will. It's badass. And I like that they swapped to a deep carry clip from the other. So these were a show special. I don't know if they sold out or what, or if they're ever coming back to this, but this thing was special, so I had to grab it. I bought this one, and I'm very happy with it. So, and oh God, it just sounds so good. Okay, moving on. Here's the deal. I told myself when I went to Blade Show this time, I was not gonna buy anything. And then I saw this, and I knew I had to buy it, right? I told Matt, I was like, hold this, I gotta go somewhere, hold this, I'll be back, I'll come back and buy it. I got like 30 steps away, if that, and I started talking to Tim Reeve. And while I'm talking to Tim Reeve, this asshole goes, is that a green Umnumzaan? And Tim's like, yeah, it is. And I was like, well, shit. So, yeah, thanks. So I bought a green Umnumzaan. This is from Northwest Knives.
Yep.
Who is very close to Chris Reeve. They work pretty closely with them. They've done green CRKs before. There is no more me, Chris Reeve, that's ever been made than this right here. We have a polished blade, all polished hardware. Even the lock bar stabilizer is polished. This thing looks sweet. And we have OD Cerakote on the clip and the handle, and it comes with a camo lanyard. Like, I don't even want to change anything about this out of the box. Other than like, I'd love, and I told Tim this, I was like, I need a OD Cerakote milled clip now. And he's like, yeah, I'll get right on that. But I mean, come on, this thing is sweet. Oh, it's perfect. So we're gonna destroy it. No, I'm kidding, I would not, I can't. I am gonna carry it. I've already got scratches on it. I don't care about it being one of 25. This is now my Umnumzaan that I carry. Price was, there was a little bit of sticker shock. A lot of sticker shock. $800.
Worth it.
Was it? I mean, I'm happy. I guess that's all that really matters. But I bought this for $800 and then I was like, oh wait, shit, I told Matt I'd be back. So then I went back and bought this. So
what an expensive Blade West you
it was not a cheap Blade West for me. We did not make a video at Blade West and I spent a lot of money while there. And shit, the coffee was expensive too.
It was.
God, Ricky and I and Tomas went to a place and got coffee and it was $43 before tip for 3 coffees.
But we saw Cameron Diaz.
We did see Cameron Diaz and oof. Yikes. We are going to move on to fixed blades. Let's start with the MSK. This is from Tops Knives. This is not new. This is a very old model. And we basically picked this up to talk about it in a future video. That's the only reason. And I've wanted one. I like the MSK. I think it looks great. This colorway is awesome with the coyote sheath and OD green micarta. But the MSK has been around for a long time, so we don't really have to dwell on it too long. You will see it in a future video. Not going to spoil it. You'll see it soon. This, you've also seen on the channel before, but I had to buy this. I saw it and I just could not stop looking at it. It's beautiful. This is the Frontier First, which we sell the Frontier First at Carry Commission in a Python micarta with AEBL. This one is an 01 tool steel Frontier First, still a full flat grind, but that bone handle, man, just look at that. Absolutely beautiful. A purple dyed bone handle. Absolutely gorgeous. And there was some really cool different bone paint or dyed bone on the table. For some reason, this purple one was just super classy to me and just, I don't know, I had to grab it. I don't love purple, but something about this, even maybe Alex wants it, maybe my mom wants it because my mom has a Frontier First. She stole my first one. So maybe I can get my original Magna Cut Frontier First back, trade these with mom. I just thought it was beautiful, so I grabbed it before anybody else did.
Yeah, scram.
Get out of here, it's mine. So this is from LHL Blades or Logan Hemingway Leichenhahn, I believe is how that's pronounced. Use, everyday small task, AEBL steel is called the Sparrow EDC. He sells them wrapped or unwrapped in this pure skeletonized. And then they've also got leather pocket sheaths. They come with the unwrapped skeletonized versions, come with a formed sheath. So for that retention, which looks really cool in this distressed brown leather. The others are not because the wrap helps retain it. But I like the blade shape, the size. I would probably wrap this myself just because pure skeletonized blades are not super comfortable to use long-term. But for small EDC stuff, lightweight, there's nothing wrong with a pure skeletonized blade, just like the GMF1, or there's another one I've been carrying, the Daily Knives AK2. So there are some other skeletonized knives in my collection. I do prefer something with a little bit wider handle, but also it's hard to argue how light and small this is. So very cool. I don't know much about LHL, but thanks for being a fan of the channel, and thanks for letting me check out this knife. All right, we're down to the very last thing. The coolest thing I have ever gotten at a blade show, and I hope you're still watching. If you are, thank you. I know this is drawn out, but I got my own knife at Blade Show. I have been carrying around one of these for a while, but this model I got, this prototype I got at Blade Show. I had not seen it in my micarta, and I am now in love. I loved the red one. In fact, I blade swapped these because that was supposed to be the config. This was supposed to have a satin blade. This was supposed to have a blasted blade. And I got them in, and I was like, actually, I think I got that backwards. So I think these are the final forms of these knives, minus the screw hole is going to go away, and some minor things are going to change. But for the most part, these knives are ready to go. So this is my first knife design. It's called the Clingman, and I am super stoked that it's finally here. This has been 3 years in the making. I haven't been working on the design for 3 years, but I've been trying to come up with a design for 3 years. We actually had a wireframe of this at last Blade West, but I didn't get a physical prototype in my hand until about a month ago. And I've carried this quite a bit, and it's perfect. I love it, and I hope you guys like it as well. Specs wise, we are at 2.9-ish inches. It's just under 3 to keep it legal in as many places as possible. We have a hollow grind Nitro V blade in this kind of aggressive clip point with a little bit of a trailing point to it. So there's a little bit of an upsweep at the end. Liner lock, obviously. And then we have a milled clip on the back. Front flipper as well. I wanted to keep that front flipper super small and tight to the blade, so we did just kind of hide it in there. This has a completely 90 spine so that it's not crowned or anything, and some people are like, why don't you do jimping here? I wanted to keep this thing as traditional looking as possible, and I wanted a modern traditional in the budget category. There really hasn't been much in that way in a long time, so that's where I finally landed on this design. It comes from, or the inspiration for it comes from my great-grandpa. He was a bird dog trainer, and we were originally going to call this the bird dog until we learned that that name is taken by a GEC model, and there's a knife company called Bird Dog Knives. So we couldn't do that, but Clingman is based on a really cool point in the Appalachian Mountains called Clingman's Dome, or was. Now, literally 3 days after we got the green light on the name Clingman, the name changed back to its original Native American name. So Clingman's Dome doesn't exist anymore, but it's a cool place, and we're gonna keep the name for the knife because I think it's a cool name, Clingman. Yeah, I hope you guys like it. These are gonna come out early next year, and the price should be right around 60 bucks. And there may be like a higher end version with Damascus or something. We're not fully certain on the final configs, but I do know that we are gonna do this because I like the satin blade with the micarta. I think it looks very classy and traditional. And I couldn't be happier. Civivi absolutely nailed it. This was the first prototype, and the only changes we're making are just like a reversible clip, like getting rid of it. If you are a lefty, I understand. I'm a lefty. I use my knives right-handed, but I feel for you. If you guys want this, let's see enough interest, and we'll do maybe a lefty version. So that's where we're at on that. I would rather do a lefty version and do it right than a reversible clip on really what is a right-handed knife. So yeah, if you are a lefty, let us know. Maybe we can make a lefty version. Super stoked to finally have a knife design out there. I want to know what you guys think. So tell me in the comments down below. And yeah, that's it. Everything we got at Blade Show will be linked in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, carry on.